Okay, welcome back, everybody. This is Courtney Sand again. I'm going to introduce our last speaker for the day. Tracy Kenninger from Easter Seals, Iowa, is here to talk to us about equipment for fall prevention. So welcome, and I'll go ahead and help you advance these slides.
Well, thank you, Courtney. I am so honored to be able to spend this last 45 minutes or so with all of you. And so I'm imagining what it has been like to be in front of your screen, probably for what, 3-4 hours now. So I know that can be difficult. So Jenny and Kimberly, if you are open to it, like I will give some like general parameters of the presentation and then would just welcome an opportunity to hear from you, get your feedback. And certainly if there's anything specific, right, that we might be able to address on your behalf. So if you're okay with that, I would welcome that opportunity. So thank you, Courtney, for inviting me and Easter Seals. And really what I'd like to try to do during this time together is just a very, very brief overview of what some assistive technology could be available to help prevent falls. That could certainly be used in a lot of other ways as well. And then a very general introduction to our Assistive Technology Center at Easter Seals. And that will help if perhaps there's other types of devices or technology that could be of help to you. Should it be helpful to you, I am a Caucasian female. I wear glasses, and today I have my brown hair shoulder length pulled back, and I'm wearing a black little jacket. I was out at a farm just a few minutes ago. And so I'm glad that I get to be virtual because it was a little muddy and sloppy out there. So I'm afraid I might have more than just mud on my shoes. So I'm glad that we still had a chance to connect. And Courtney, if you would go ahead and advance the slides. So Jenny and Kimberly, you probably already really know this. Or you've heard it from other people. Hopefully, I hope you haven't had to have any direct experiences with this, but the most common places for falls to occur are in bathrooms and in bedrooms. So I wanted to start by just sharing some devices that some people could find helpful in those areas. And then, as you probably already know, falls are such an indicator of, unfortunately, co-occurring injuries, illnesses that occur after the fall. So we are, of course, always interested in trying to do everything we can to prevent those falls. So I wanted to share just a few devices related to the bathroom and to the bedroom. And if you want to go ahead and advance, Courtney. So let's start by talking a little bit about the bathroom.
I apologize. This happens every now and then. Let me get it back open for you.
No worries. I've done this a time or two before, so while she's pulling it back up, we can carry on. Oh, that was quick. So, you know, when you think about falls, you think about bathrooms and you think about it's wet, right? It can be slippery. It could be getting up and down off the toilet, to standing at the sink, to getting in and out of the shower or bathtub. So what are some things that we could use or encourage others to use that might decrease the chance of any of that slipping or falling, as well as perhaps just adding some independence for some people to complete those tasks? So one of the areas is, gosh, it can be hard for some people to get up and down off the toilet. And so what we sometimes see is, as an effort, as people are kind of bearing down, their head might be lowered And when that head lowers, we know that we could, for some, be at risk of impacting our blood pressure, which can result in a fall. So just having a raised toilet seat, as you'll see in that left picture, that raises you up, and then having those built-in handles to push off of can sometimes be really all that's needed to decrease that potential risk of falling. Now, for some, this might not be enough, and you might be looking at grab bars, which is the second picture from the left. And those can be, as you well know, placed in very strategic positions to be the best support for people. So, grab bars aren't anything fancy, they aren't elaborate, but I think one thing to keep in mind, they come in different lengths, they come in different widths, they come in different styles. And when it comes to a person's home, it's really what works best for them and assuring it is adequately secured. So many times we see people using bars that are meant to hang towels on, not to pull or push to get up and down off the toilet or in and out of the shower. So again, moving back to the toilet seat, one of those areas that can be difficult for people and where they again move their body forward, lowering their head, putting people at risk of a lower blood pressure and then risk of falling, is their hygiene while they're toileting. And so this particular picture just shows an extended handled wiping aid. It can be used by males and females. It can bend, right? So it can be put at different angles. It's a little bit bigger grip, so it can be easier to grab a hold of. And then I know for the person that I support that we have had some incidences with falls in the bathroom. And part of the challenge is you're inside the tub/shower unit, and you're trying to clean and scrub all of your body and trying to reach things while still balancing. And that can really be tricky. So now you've got a double whammy. Things are slippery, and now you're also lowering your head. So the next picture is of a long-handled brush. This one happens to be a straight handle, but again, there's curved brushes. There's curved that are flexible, so you can adjust it. It can be kind of used in this motion, and I'm putting my hand over my shoulder for your back, or like this long-handled brush can be used more so to reach your feet and to reach lower, hoping it will prevent us from having to bend over, and you can use the extended handle to reach lower areas. And then most of you are probably familiar with the shower benches. Again, if it's helpful to sit, right, while you're showering, decrease the chances of slipping and falling. This happens to be one that goes inside the tub. The legs are typically adjustable in height. You can get some that are padded if that's more comfortable. You can also get some that have flip back arms, right? So if a person needs some, kind of like the toilet seat, with some arms on both sides to push off of, that can be helpful. And then for some people, it might be easier to even have a component of the shower chair that's outside of the tub shower unit to help with transferring in and out. So that's just another option. And then, this happens to me. I don't know if it's just me, but have you ever chased like a bar of soap around in a shower or tub? Right? It's not much fun, nor is it really safe for any of us, regardless of your abilities. So sometimes just having a soap dispenser with the liquid soap, people will use the scrunchie. This can also be used to have your shampoo. They can be suction cupped right to a shower tub unit. And some people choose to actually have them even more secure than that. But then again, you don't have to bend over to be able to chase the bar of soap or to be able to access the bottle of shampoo or whatever it may be. So just a few devices that might be helpful in hopefully reducing the risk of falls, but then also perhaps just adding some safety and independence. And if you want to go ahead and go to the next slide. Oh, and then the bath or the bedroom, right? So again, these are not intended to be workable and helpful for all people, but perhaps if they're not necessarily of help to you, maybe they will be to somebody else, or it might perhaps have you think about perhaps what other types of devices could be helpful. So I think also with the bedroom and the bathroom, there's also the risk, sometimes not so much as falling, although it can be, but also for the caregiver and the support that a caregiver provides to the person who is at risk of falling, right? So the more that we can have the person who is needing the support help and participate in their care and their own activities of daily living, in some cases, it could help decrease the risk of injury or falls or whatever it may be, also for the caregiver. So you probably have seen these trapeze bars, which is the first picture listed there in the top row on the left. And most often you might see these like in hospitals attached to the frame of a hospital bed, but know that they can be freestanding, meaning you can use a non-hospital bed. This can actually fit underneath your bed. There is that chain link that is before you see the triangle, can be adjusted in length. The triangle can also be different types of shapes or widths, right? To have the person who is needing the support be able to provide perhaps some assistance. Sometimes they can grab it with their hand or hands, and sometimes it might be kind of looping their elbow through it to maybe just provide some support and bear some weight to be able to get in and out of bed, sometimes to be held in a position for toileting care, sometimes that are done in bed. Sometimes people perform some of their dressing and putting their clothes on in bed. So something that could help with that. Or in some cases, it really does allow a person to get in and out of bed independently. The sake, the dressing piece, right? So, you know, again, person sitting in a chair, they bend down low to get their sock on. And again, that can create that blood pressure change that can put people at risk. So this is a sake. There's several different designs of them that can help a person put on their sock. This particular one is best used by an individual who has good use of two hands. There are some that might be a better fit if you have just the use of one hand. Some work a little bit better like with compression hose, but in my opinion, none of them work great for compression hose. But again, none of these devices will be perfect for all people, but perhaps for some. And then the bed ladder. I actually have one of these with me, and it is a way also to help people get from a laying down position in bed to a sitting position. This picture shows a person using one hand over the other for the bed ladder. And I've also seen this used also with the elbow hook, like I mentioned with the trapeze bar. So this can be secured at the end of your bed. Okay, so there's a loop that I'm showing you now at the end, right? And so it could be a bed post. Sometimes people will put it under like the bed frame. You have to make sure it's really secure. And then there's just a series of loops. So that's the things that I'm showing. And they're on both sides. So people can grab a hold of this, right? Now this one is smaller, so it's harder to kind of get more of your elbow looped in there, but the picture has larger loops that can help. So the intention is you start here and you kind of just work yourself up the ladder, right? So a person wouldn't be expected to go from a straight lying down position to a seated position, but that it may take one loop at a time to be able to do that. Okay, again, not workable for all people. It could allow a person to do it independently. It could also create less strain and stress on a caregiver to provide that type of support. And as I'm sure most of you know, a hospital bed can be of great help. It can be at different heights, right? Where we see the falls common in a bedroom is getting in and out of the bed. So sometimes, as you're probably aware, people tend to forget that they aren't as strong or as stable as they used to be. And so this kind of popping out of bed and trying to do things by themselves, not being stable or balanced before they try to take a first step, and or this transferring from a bed to a wheelchair. The hospital bed allows you to have a more level transfer, right? And can help minimize the risk for all of those areas. The pressure mat that is in the next picture can be helpful for some people for what I just described, right? It can alert another person if they have gotten out of bed and it's not necessarily safe for them to be ambulatory by themselves. It'll let out a sound to notify others that has happened, to provide some support that way. And then that bottom row and on the far left, there are just countless monitoring systems. So it could be systems where a person can request support, that they need help to get in and out of bed while they're in the bathroom. And it can kind of like what many of you might define as like a baby monitoring system, like where you have one where a person can talk and another where a person can hear. Sometimes there can be communication back and forth with a lot of the smart technology. And I have a slide to talk a little bit about that. There's just really endless ways of which there can be communication and connection, or just an alarm or an awareness when somebody has indeed either gone into the bathroom or, just countless situations where that could be helpful. And then, I don't know if this has impacted any of you, but sometimes, and completely understandably so, persons are just a bit resistant of having a hospital bed in their home, and completely understandable. And so just like how the trapeze bar that I mentioned before can be used on any type of bed, a freestanding trapeze bar, this is a picture of a bed rail. You can't really see the top of this too well, but it's U-shaped, it's adjustable in height. And there's a portion of the bed rail that goes between the mattress and the box spring to help hold it in place. And so this could be possibly beneficial for some because they can grab a hold of that bed rail, and or they can push up off of it to get in and out of bed. Again, a way that it could be of help for some to get stabilized, kind of sit on the edge of the bed, have their blood pressure be moderated before they would step up. And then we've got the dressing aid. Again, just another device to help people from not having to bend over, right? And then the final item that we have a picture of here for bedroom accommodations and devices is, something pretty standard as well as the Hoyer lift. I can't tell you how many times people are being transferred from one place to the next, and that's when the fall occurs. So could a Hoyer lift that would help with the transferring decrease those chances of of those falls. And then also, as we've just noted several times, can on occasion also just remove some of the strain and the stress for the caregiver as well. And we'll move on to the next one. So this is what you may or may not know. Did you know that all of those items that I just showed are actually available through the Easter Seals Assistive Technology Center? Every last one of them. So the smaller devices like, excuse me, the dressing aid, more the gadgets, the gizmos are available through our lending library. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And then like the Hoyer lift, the trapeze bar, the hospital beds, when we have them in our inventory, those can be available through our recycling durable medical equipment program. So if a person does not have insurance, if they aren't interested in waiting on insurance, these are devices that the durable medical equipment piece, it is based on what we have in our inventory. The other devices you can try out and see if they work. You can't keep them. Sorry, the small devices you can't keep. But you can try them, right, to see if you like them and if they might be helpful. And as we move to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit more about those specific services. So the Durable Medical Equipment Program at Easter Seals, all of these programs are available for everybody, statewide, any disability type, any age group, all counties. Income is not a determining factor. They're really just available to anybody in need in Iowa. So the way this program works is that when people no longer need a piece of equipment, like maybe a shower bench or a lift chair, we just got a couple of those donated today, they will contact Easter Seals and say, we're no longer able to make use out of this. We'd like to donate it to Easter Seals. In turn, they get a letter for their tax purposes of the donation, and we refurbish it, we clean it up, we sanitize it, we make sure everything's safe, and then we loan it out to Iowans. So there is a fee, a small fee for that, and that's that very bottom circle there on your slide. It's a one-time fee, right? And you can use it absolutely as long as you need it. So for example, if you would need a commode, that's a one-time $20 fee, and you can use it as long as you need it. We do ask for your help in being able to pick up the equipment, or if you can be patient, we can wait till we have a staff person in your part of the state, but that can take several weeks because we're not able to make special deliveries for pieces of equipment. We combine it with other reasons and purposes for being in parts of the state. So all of those devices that we mentioned for fall prevention could be, if they are available, through the Durable Medical Equipment Program at Easter Seals. On to the next slide. And then the smaller devices, so like the bed ladder, the long-handled brush, those are all available to try through our lending library program. And so if you can imagine a library of books, we just have a library of over 2,000 different devices that people can try out and see if they work. And I always encourage people to try it and trial it before you buy it. So when you look at the combination of those 6 devices, other than the pressure mat, none of it's like horribly expensive, right? But if you bought all of those, that would be $414. And you yet don't even know if they're really going to work. And I've got a few examples of why trialing something can really be helpful that we'll get to at the end. So all of this would be $414, whereas you could just contact Easter Seals and say, hey, can you ship those things to me? Or can we find a way that I can try them out, because I really don't want to spend money on a long handled brush if it's really not going to work for me, because maybe I'd really prefer the curve handled one. Or the bed ladder, the one in the picture, those loops are just too far apart. They don't work for me. I'd like to have that one that I just showed you with the little red loops, right? It is so difficult to know what's going to work until you have a chance to try it. Next slide. So you could save the $414 and try them through the Easter Seals Lending Library. So this is a picture of a lady who's using another style of a stockade, right? This one, some people will say, is less difficult. I didn't say easy, less difficult to use with the use of one hand versus the one that was in the prior slide. Next. So this actually says 1,000 devices. No, it's actually 2,000. We have 2,000 devices. It allows you to compare and contrast, try some things out, see what works. Well, I like this about this one. I like this about this one. And many of the devices that I noted, we might have 3 to 4 different varieties, right? So just different styles that you can try out. And again, you can try them for free. Kind of 30 days is our benchmark. Like if you could try them for 30 days, but if you need more, it's incredibly flexible with those time frames. We've had times where we've extended it for 90 days because we were still trying to figure out the best solution. So that's just kind of a benchmark 30 days. Next. So I wanted to share with you just a little bit about smart technology and possible ways that it could be helpful to prevent falls, or in some cases to notify a loved one if somebody has fallen. We do have these devices in the Assistive Technology Center. I can tell you it's a little bit trickier to loan smart technology devices and try them out, because of course they have to be connected to Wi-Fi and you have to set up accounts. And so sometimes that can just be a little tricky for people. But you know, like the smart plugs, you can plug in all sorts of appliances. You can have your lights hooked up to it. You can have your shades lowered. And so sometimes, you know, people getting up and down can be difficult, or you don't want them to because, you know, they're by themselves and you don't want them ambulating without somebody present, or something's too high because a person uses a wheelchair, right? It could be that they're voice activated. It could be to turn off on and off lights and all the other things that I mentioned. It could be that they operate it through their smartphone. We use a smart device in our home. I have one right behind me, even though this isn't, I have a portable one, right? But it is a way that I can send reminders to the people who live in my house, to even when they leave the house. There's one that says a reminder of, remember to walk slow, keep your legs further apart, look straight up, right? So just reminders of good practices when they are about to leave the house and they're walking. Because we have had incidences of falls on the sidewalk, right? Because just not very good balance, and sometimes looking down and not focusing on moving forward. It could be great reminders of tasks to complete. And again, also, there are all sorts of systems that can be set up to notify a loved one if a person has fallen. So just really endless opportunities for how we can use smart technology to increase our independence and hopefully reduce falls. Next. And then, you know, the truth is falls can really happen anywhere, right? As I mentioned, the person in my home that I provide care for, you know, we're sending reminders when he exits the door, right? And so, you know, a common thing again is this, you know, reaching down and picking things up. And so, you know, there are just endless types of reachers or grabbers. And I just have like 3 varieties here to show you. But I really wanted to talk about this a little bit as it relates to the importance and the value of being able to try things out, right? So this one actually bends, right? So it folds up. It also has a different type of handle. It also has a different type of grabber component, more suction cups, right? This one, hold on, I'm going to sneeze. The joys of, thank you, the joys of fall and being out at the farm. So you can see how this handle is just much different, and it requires a bit more strength, and the whole reacher is longer. But this part is really lightweight, and then the whole grasping mechanism is different, and this one has this little hook on it. So for some, this is just way too long for them to control. Like they just don't have the muscle control. But for others, they like having something a little bit longer, and they like this because you can kind of also like bring things close to you. They like this little component. And yet others, like this one. Now this one is heavier, right? It takes some strength. But it also means you can pick up things that are heavier, right? And so, and it too has a little bit different grasping mechanism, right? It also has like a little rubber grip that can just help hang on to things a little bit better. And again, a different grasping mechanism. So there's just, we probably have 15 different styles of reachers. And in my opinion, it's nearly impossible to look at a picture of one and to know, yeah, that's the one that would work best for me. So it's a great idea to just be able to try them out, have them in your home or work or wherever it is that you're going to use them, and put them to work and see what is the best match for each individual person. We also have walking poles. You heard me talk about, you know, being at the farm. And I think for many of the farmers that we support, and a lot of people, right, they aren't necessarily want to have everybody notice that they're using special devices, right? For some, it doesn't matter. For some, it really does. And so these are walking poles that are really for hiking or climbing mountains. And we have a variety of these as well with different hand grips. And for some people, it just feels a bit more normalized versus canes or crutches or something of that nature. So we have some of those devices as well. And then here's the car cane. So this is like the notch in your car door. You can actually put this component through, the silver component, and then use this as a way to push off of to help get in and out of the car. That is another place where we do hear of lots of falls happening. Transitioning in and out, you can't sometimes get a wheelchair close enough, or people aren't balanced and they're kind of stuck in between the car door and whatever device they might be using, their walker or no device at all, right? So this car cane can be used to help as a place to push off of and have a little leverage. And then the final device there is the bag carrier or hook. It straps across a person's chest, and it allows to have a little bit better balance and not to have one hand really completely wrapped around anything that you might be carrying. So having the hands to the side might create some greater balance for people. And one less thing to worry about, because the bag holder, the bag carrier will hold the bag for you to free up your hands. And the next slide. So here is our contact information. You may be thinking, I really have a good idea of what it is that I'm looking for. I know what device I need or someone I know needs. And you can feel free to just reach out to us. You could look at our website. It has all of our devices listed. Or because it's 2,000 devices, you can email us or call us and say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Can you just help me find it? Or we can do that. Or you might be saying, which I think this is so common, I don't even really know what to ask for. I don't know what to look for. I know that I wish we could be safer in this area. I wish I could be more independent. I wish as a caregiver, I had more support with fill in the blank. And we can, per your discretion, you lead us in this discussion, help explore different possibilities or different ideas that might be able to be of help. And if we don't have the devices at Easter Seals, we can still provide you with the links of where you can purchase them or where we might be able to explore possible solutions. We often say it's really difficult to ask for something that you don't know exist, right? And that's part of our job, to help you brainstorm with you, see what might be some possible solutions. So I have a final thing to show you before. I'd love to hear from you, maybe devices that you know about, or just any general questions that you have. So this is just an example of, I think, of the benefit of trialing things. So this is an extended handled shoehorn, right? And this one has like a spring, right? So it bends a bit, right? So the intention is you can hold it up and you don't have to bend over to get your shoes on. So then there's this one. And do you see where it's bent? So it's just not as strong, right? And so like I'm even having some flexibility in bending it. But it does have a little bit nicer handle on it, right? A little bit easier to grab a hold of. The other one's quite small. There's no spring on this one. But the person who was actually using this liked kind of this little notch right there, or the bend. And it works better for them because the bend is actually where they wanted it to be, right? And not the spring-loaded one where the bend is down here. So this was used by a person who was putting on some heavy work boots, right? And like the spring just wasn't strong enough. So they needed something that was stronger at the end. So I think it's just another good example of you gotta try it before you know, right? What's really gonna work and what's gonna be helpful. Kim, I would love to hear from you. Any thoughts, ideas, questions? So again, feel free to email us. Feel free to contact us. And Courtney, I don't know if you can see that message from Kim. I think she's having a hard time getting unmuted.
Yeah, let's see here. Ask to unmute. See here, just a second. Let me see if I can get it to. Oh, hey, I think it worked.
Are you there?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to click it.
No.
So I've been in healthcare for a very long time, 30 plus years, and I've never seen that ladder before. I thought that was pretty cool. My role, I've always worked in skilled nursing and inpatient rehab. So I really enjoyed that ladder. My question to you is, I currently work for an Iowa facility. So I work for a nursing home, but I deal a lot with Illinois facilities. So is there a Easter Seals in Illinois that provides kind of the same services? I also live in Illinois. So I know in a previous role, we had a lot of issues with people trying to get Hoyer lifts. Like they're so expensive and insurance don't cover and people don't carry. So I think when I heard that, I thought that was amazing because, a lot of times people want to go home and try it and they have to fail before they realize they can't. So I am more than interested. I wrote down your phone number here, but I'm more than interested in whatever other information like Illinois, Iowa you can send me, or links or anything like that. Because again, I deal with a lot of Illinois facilities as well. So I appreciate all your input. I thought it was great.
Well, thank you, Kim. Well, thank you for the work that you do. That's certainly difficult and really important work. So yes, there is a program similar to ours in the state of Illinois. It's not through Easter Seals in Illinois, but I just actually had a meeting with them yesterday, and looking at providing them support with some of the programs that they're starting. And so it's a great statewide program. It's called the Illinois Assistive Technology Program, IATP. And I'm happy to get you connected with their director, Kim, and she'll pass you on to the person who primarily handles their durable medical equipment recycling program, or I can send you a link. You just tell me, you can email me and let me know really what's best for you, and I can get you connected with them. They have the same recycling program. They have the same lending library. Now they might operate it a little bit differently. They actually have access to a lot more devices and equipment than we do here in Iowa, because they are, you get your funding based on your population, right? And so they have a lot more funding than we do. So yes, that would be a great resource for you to connect with.
Tracy, this is Courtney. I just wanted to say thank you for reviewing some of, and they really are beautiful person-centered tools that will help me be a better neuro resource facilitator to my clients. But also, there are so many personal uses as well. My dad actually has Parkinson's, and he's at the stage where he has to start thinking about ways that he can maximize his independence and his dignity at the same time. So on a personal and professional level or note, I really appreciate this information. And I think it's so important, well, I know it is, with the population of folks with brain injury, because as you know, they lose a crushing amount of independence and skills. And this is a lovely reminder that they can live well with a disability. And I just had a conversation with my dad a week or so ago when he was here visiting, that, he can't change the fact that he's got Parkinson's, but how wonderful that, for example, there's a library of 2,000 resources in all areas of life that can help folks who need it. So seriously, thank you very much.
You are so welcome. We're just honored to be a piece of the entire pie. And Courtney, I don't know you quite as well, but we've had just a long history of really working side by side, the association, and I'm doing what we can to support Iowans who've experienced a brain injury and their caregivers and families and whatnot. And I would welcome a chance as well if there's things that we can do for your dad. We've got some really cool devices that I think are very specific for persons with Parkinson's or who may experience tremors. And so, gosh, I just would welcome a chance to see if we could offer any support to your dad as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. Like I said, it's each one of these webinars. We're here we're professionals coming together to target caregivers today, but there are just so many applications, even in our personal lives. And again, I appreciate it. And I'm going to tuck this information away, not only for the people that I serve, but for the people that I love too. So thank you. And I made sure to drop the link in our chat box for the folks that were able to attend live. As I've mentioned, this is being recorded and it will get posted to our YouTube page. Generally takes about 24 to 48 hours, and then we'll advertise it on our social media accounts. So thank you so much for your time and talent today. We really appreciate it.
Of course, my pleasure. Thanks for having us. And nice to meet you as well, Kimberly.
And with that, I'll go ahead and I'll stop the recording.